All right, now that we have reviewed how to divide numbers using long division, let's apply this to dividing polynomials. Now, there are some differences, but for the majority, we're doing the exact same process. And there's not really steps to do this. It's just kind of easiest to dive in. So here we go. We are taking this polynomial and we are dividing it by x plus 4. So your x plus 4, what you're dividing by, goes on the outside. We have x plus 4. And then inside here, we have all of our numbers here. So 4x cubed plus 21x squared, and keep going. Okay. With these, when we divide, we're going to just take this first term here. So when I start with my first one, 4x cubed, I'm just going to divide that by x, not x plus 4. So 4x cubed divided by x is going to leave me with 4x squared. I'm going to put my squared above my squared. So this is 4x squared. And now multiply it back. Now when we multiply, now I'm multiplying it by everything. So I'm going to do 4x squared times x to get 4x cubed. And I'm going to put it under its like term, which is also the cubed. And then 4x times 4 is going to give me 16x squared. And I'm going to put that under my squared column because it's going to be under its like term. Okay, so before we go on, let's just kind of review what just happened. What I'm dividing by went on the outside. What we're dividing goes on the inside. When I divide, I only divide with that first term. So I took 4x cubed and divided it by only x, not x plus 4. Once I divide and I figured out it was 4x squared, that went above my x squared. And when I multiply this back, now you have to distribute it by both these terms here. So 4x squared times x is 4x cubed, which went under my x cubed. And 4x squared times 4 is 16x squared, which went under my x squared. So just kind of be careful. When you divide, you're only dividing the first term. When you multiply it, you're multiplying it by both of these terms. Okay. Here's where the most mistakes happen with this. Just like up here, once I did 5 times 15 to get 75, we subtracted. We're still going to subtract here. But I am subtracting this entire polynomial, this entire thing. So I'm not just going to put a minus out here because that would only apply to this 4x cubed. I am subtracting the entire term. So I'm doing minus parentheses. So now we have 4x cubed minus 4x cubed. Those cancel. Here's where we'll make mistakes because the whole thing's being subtracted. This is not 21 plus 16. This is 21 minus 16 to give me 5x cubed or squared. And then likewise, bring down this next term and do the process over again. So now I'm taking my first term here, 5x squared, and I'm dividing it by my first term here, which is x. 5x squared divided by x gives me 5x. So that's going to go above my x column. I only divided in my x, but when I multiply, I've got to multiply it back to everything. So 5x times x is 5x squared, which is going to go under my x squared. And 5x times 4 is 20x, which is going to go under my x. Next thing is to subtract. And I am not just subtracting that 5x. I am subtracting everything here. So 5x squared minus 5x squared cancels. This is not 21 plus 20. This is 21 minus 20 to give me 1x or just x. And then let's bring down our last term. So I'm taking this first term here of x. Stick with my colors here. Of x and dividing it by the first term here, which is also x. So we get 1. So this is plus 1. I'm not going to do arrows again because this is getting busy. Well, I'll do some. Let's just go right here. Distribute that back. So 1 times x is x, and 1 times 4 is 4. The next step is to subtract, but I am not just subtracting the x. I am subtracting this entire thing. So x minus x cancels, and this is not 20 plus 4. This is negative 20 minus 4 to get negative 24. So my final answer, if I am writing it in this form here, and in this form, I really care about this portion here. I want my quotient plus my remainder over my divisor. My quotient is this up here, 4x squared plus 5x plus 1 plus my remainder is negative 24. So plus negative 24 over my divisor, which is what we divided in here, x plus 4. This is my final answer. Okay, we're going to do 4 more examples of this. I'm not going to use as many colors from now on. Okay, so this is going to be the most slow example, the most detailed example with all the colors. If you did not understand this one, I suggest you rewind it and watch it again. If you did understand it, let's keep going. Okay, this is wrote in a different way, but it's the exact same thing. What I'm dividing in goes on the outside. And then what you're dividing it into goes on the inside. Okay, so take the first term, 15x squared, and divide it by your first term here. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and x squared divided by x is x. I'm going to put my x above my x's here, so this is 5x, and now multiply it back by distributing. So 5x times 3x gives me 15x squared, which needs to go under my squared column. And then 5x times negative 2 is negative 10x, which needs to go under my x column. The next step is to subtract. Again, I'm not just doing a minus out here. We are subtracting all of it. 15x squared minus 15x squared is 0. This is not 8 minus 10. This is 8 minus a negative 10, which is the same as 8 plus 10. This is 18x. Bring down your -4 and repeat. Taking the first term here, 18x, and dividing it by the first term here. 18 divided by 3 is 6, and x divided by x cancels out. So this is just +6. Multiply it back. You're distributing it. So 6 times 3x is 18x. And 6 times a -2 is -12. Next step is to subtract. We're not just subtracting the 18x though. What are we doing? We're subtracting that whole thing. 18x minus 18x cancels. -4 minus -12 is the same thing as -4 plus 12. So it's going to be a +8. So my final answer is my quotient, which is 5x plus 6, plus my remainder, which is 8, over my divisor, which is 3x minus 2. If you feel like you understand this pretty well, I would suggest you guys to pause C and attempt that one on your own. Okay, I hope you paused that video. Or I hope you paused this video and you attempted C on your own. So let's go over it and see how you did. You're putting what you divided on the outside and what you are dividing into on the inside. Okay. I'm taking the first term here and dividing it by the first term here. It's going to leave me with 2x, and I'm going to put that above my x's here. Distribute it back, and when you distribute, you're now doing 2x times 3 terms. So 2x times x squared is 2x cubed, needs to go under my cubes. 2x times x is 2x squared, which needs to go under my squareds. And then 2x times 1 is 2x, which needs to go under my x's. The next step is to subtract, and we're subtracting our entire polynomial here. So 2x cubed minus 2x cubed cancel. This is not 5. This is 3 minus 2 to give me 1x squared. This does not cancel because this is -2 minus 2 to give me -4. Be careful with this minus that you're subtracting all of it. Biggest mistake. Bring down your 1. Do it again. First term here divided by first term here, which is going to give me 1. So I've got +1 here, and now distribute this 1 to all 3 terms. So 1 times x squared is x squared, which goes under my squareds. 1 times x is x, which goes under my x column. 1 times 1 is 1, which goes under my 1 column again. Subtract the whole thing. X squared minus x squared, cancel. 4 minus 1 gives me -5x. And this is not 2. 1 minus 1 also cancels. So my answer is my quotient, 2x plus 1, plus my remainder, -5x, over my divisor, x squared plus x plus 1. Okay. Two more examples, and these two more examples, you do need to be careful with them for a couple of reasons. Okay. Okay, on D, we have an x to the fourth, an x cubed, and an x squared. Up until this point, we have had, you got x cubed, x squared, x constant. X squared, x constant. It's always gone down to a constant, and we don't have that here. So when I put this one on the outside, I need to put some placeholders here. So this is going to be 15x to the fourth plus 15x cubed plus 2x squared. And then we'll have plus 0x and plus 0. You want to put placeholders. Okay. So take your first term, 15x to the fourth, and divide it by the first term here. 3x squared. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X to the fourth divided by x squared is x squared. Put this above your squared column. Okay, now what I've been saying has probably been like a duh kind of a thing, but here's why I've been saying it this whole time. When you take this and distribute it back, put things under its like column. 5x squared times 3x squared is 15x to the fourth. That's going under my fourth column. 5x squared times 1 is 5x squared. So that needs to go under my squared column. Because this skips a place value, right? You don't have an x. It's going to skip as you multiply this out. You're still doing the same thing. We're subtracting this entire thing. 15x to the fourth minus 15x to the fourth cancels. 15x cubed minus nothing is 15x cubed. 2x squared minus 5x squared is negative 3x squared. If you don't put this under its right column, you'll get confused and possibly subtract 15 minus this. You've got to put that placeholder. You've got to line these up. Okay, so let's bring down our next one, which is 0x, and continue. So first term here, divided by first term here. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X cubed divided by x squared is x. So we have plus 5x above my x's, and distribute and line up your like terms. 5x times 3x squared is x cubed. So that needs to come here. 5x times 1 is 5x. So don't put it under your x squared. Put it under your x column. And now subtract everything. 15x cubed minus 15x cubed cancels. Negative 3x squared minus nothing doesn't change. And 0 minus 5x is a negative 5x. First term, negative 3x squared divided by first term here, which is going to leave me with a negative 1. Negative 1 times 3x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 1 times 1, and I should have brought this down, right? Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, so don't put that below an x. It's going to come over here. Subtract it all. Negative 3 plus right? Plus 3x squared cancels. -5 minus nothing stays -5x. And 0 minus the -1 is the same as 0 plus 1. So plus 1 here. So my final answer is my quotient plus my remainder over my divisor. Okay, last example here. You got x to the 4th, x squared, and a 66. Notice here, we have not skipped any place values. You've got x to the 4th, x cubed, x squared. Over here, we had x cubed, x squared, x constant. This one is skipping some values. You need placeholders in those spots. So we have x plus 4 on the outside. We've got x to the 4th. I have no cube, so you have to put the placeholder, just how we did placeholders here. You need this completely descending. So I have no x cubes, so this is plus 0 x cubed. Then minus 12x squared. You have no x, so another plus 0x, and then minus 66. It skips the place, if it skips the value, you've got to put placeholders in place. So now let's go to work. And actually, now that we have this set up, why don't you try again to pause this video and see if you can complete this on your own. I hope you paused it. Let's check your work. X to the 4th divided by x is x cubed. I'm going to put that above my cube and then distribute it back. X cubed times x is x to the 4th, which goes under my x to the 4th. And x cubed times 4 is plus 4x cubed, which is under its like term as well. We're going to subtract the entire thing, which is going to let those cancel. And 0 minus 4 gives me a -4x cubed. Bring down our next term and repeat. First term divided by first term. That's going to give me -4x squared. I'm going to put that above my x squareds here and distribute. -4x squared times x is -4x cubed, which is below my cubes. -4x squared times 4 is a -16x squared, which is above the or below the x squareds. Subtract it all. -4 plus 4 cancel. -12 plus 16 makes us a positive 4x squared. Bring down the next one. Repeat. 4x squared divided by x gives me 4x. Goes above my x. Distribute. 4x times x is 4x squared, which is below my x squareds. And 4x times 4 is 16x, which is below my x. We're going to subtract that whole thing. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 16 is a -16x. Be careful there. And then lastly, bring down our last term. We got -16x divided by x to get -16, which goes above my constant. Multiply back. We've got -16x minus 64. We're going to subtract the whole thing. Negative 16 plus 16 cancel. Negative 66 plus 64 leaves me with a negative 2. So my final answer here is my quotient, x cubed minus 4x squared plus 4x minus 16 plus my remainder, which is negative 2, over my divisor, x plus 4.